Welcome to the Port Charles Update with your hosts, Mish and Mel.
Hello.
Hello, we're back.
Yes, we are.
I mean, not fully. Like, my brain is totally not back yet.
Okay. We love a Quarterman house, right? And it's full, and there's people, and they're hosting events. And this was funny because I mixed up my notes and I couldn't remember what was last week, what was this week. But I have to make this comment on Sam because it was either I made fun of her last week and I didn't get the chance to. So I would really like to take this opportunity and say some things about Sam. So, I mean, I don't know how other people reacted to this, but like she's there with like hot Dante. Poor Dante, can
Right?
I just say, right?
Honestly.
Because you have Sam who's like, oh gosh, I totally get those issues you have with your dad. I'm about to confess some crimes to you. And then the poor guy has like Sonny, who's like also like, hey, you're a cop. It's why I keep you at arm's length. But guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna confess some potential crimes to you, some bad things I want to do. It's like I just feel bad for him as a whole. But
Yeah.
you know, he does his best to support them, and he tried to support Sam as she complained that the hot brothers she had babies with are just like annoyingly
Yeah. Super
similar.
annoying.
It's what I
Yeah.
find hilarious.
That's what
She's like, I'm like, oh, those genes, they're just two samesies for you. Is that it? Maybe you should diversify the gene pool when you're making the babies or
I
finding
mean,
the.
to be fair, she thought they were the same person. I mean, let's throw her a
That's
bone where a
true.
bone is due.
That is true, but it's hilarious to hear her complain about them out loud like it's not bizarre, right? She
Right?
complains like it's like, oh, like between Jason and Drew, and them being brothers, they're just annoying dads. Like they're not even dads. They're just like, oh, guess what? I'm dead. oh, and then out of nowhere, they're like, oh, today I'm not dead. I'm back. She's like, I've had enough. And Dante is like, don't worry. We
uh,
got this, babe. We can parent the kids.
I like your version of events way better than what I witnessed.
So I didn't know Scout was Scout Quartermain.
Yeah, now we know.
Wait a second. I'm actually
Yes,
confused.
yes. Okay, tell
Um,
me.
when was Scout born? Was she born because she thought she was having a baby with Jason. So did Jason come back or did he get his
Hmm.
what? I don't recall. Okay, so I guess this is all just to say I'm not going to inform you. I'm not going to provide any information. What I
We
will
don't do
say,
that.
no, um, I will list a bunch of things I don't know and I'm not sure about. So,
I'm
so her
ready.
name, so her name was Scout Kane.
Yes.
But that depends on when she was born and when he got when he not his memory back, but when he learned who he was. But he learned who he was when Jason came back. But when Jason came back, Sam wasn't pregnant, so it means Scout already existed. So Scout he
Mm-hmm.
got to keep because he was there when it happened, and that he
Mm-hmm.
remembers.
Mm-hmm.
So if the thing is, if he didn't know who he was before Jason came back,
I'm sorry.
wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
she have been Scout Morgan?
Yes, but apparently they like paperwork. It's really easy to
But
change
I
your
wish
name.
that
So
they
she's
told
been
us.
buried in the paperwork.
I wish they told us because it's like I feel like no one told us that she changed her name the first time. However,
Exactly.
now that we're talking, I do hope that this comes back out in years from now when she's like an adult and she's trying to do something for the first time ever. And then they find her old paperwork and they're like, who are you now? Morgan Kane Quartermain? What? And then she has to explain. That would be fun.
That would be lovely. I want that.
Anyway, so it's a thing apparently because he's changing her name, she has to change her name, which makes sense because she's not McCall. She's not Scout McCall.
No.
Scout McCall. Anyways, so other things happened at the yeah, I feel like that was a lot of time. That was a lot of minutes. Like
1 hour, lady. 1 hour.
when do we ever even talk about Scout? But we had so much to say today.
I like how you included me in that.
Okay, so this is something. This is something that I have been waiting for.
Oh
Like
my gosh.
when the whole Nina thing came out,
Yeah.
Tracy was there, and I guess like when the whole reveal about like what she did to Drew, I guess I figured since Tracy was all like, no one doesn't tell me anything, and she was more in her anger phase back then of like, oh my gosh, Willow has cancer. I want to be here. So I actually thought back in the day that maybe Tracy would go after Nina, right? They're very much like, don't mess with us Quartermains. I may not like any of them, but I'll protect them. So I had thought that there would be some kind of corporate battle or Tracy would have her go at Nina. But this was like the first interaction between Tracy and Nina.
Yes.
So that kind of surprised me. And I love how Tracy couldn't care. And like, also Nina, like, what is the matter with you? It's like a couple of bonks with like Drew. She's like, I think I'm going to go to his house now. And I feel like I'm going to be received real well. Like, what's the matter with you? What's the matter with you?
But I love it because now it's not even for spite. It's just for like she wants to fit into a family.
Well, pretty
For
much,
love.
right? Yeah, like I mean, look, to be honest, her life in her bubble has changed and she's
Yes.
changing. It's just that
Yes.
Nina believes that everyone else knows that. So Nina's like, I haven't changed. Everyone saw that, right? Everyone sees that she hasn't really changed or evolved. There's always some kind of shenanigans, but she legitimately has changed, but like no one
Has
cares. It's like, is
witnessed
this thing on?
it.
No, except for I can't even with this. Anyways, all to say that I absolutely loved, Tracy letting her rip in front. I guess that interaction finally happened. It just
Yes.
happened way later than I thought it would. I loved all the people at the house that gathered. And so when Nina was like, her feelings got hurt, Willow went to go check on her. And then she said something about like the contempt for Nina being universal.
Yes.
And I wrote, and soon it will for you too.
Or will they band together and murder Drew?
Hey, no! What is happening? That is so dark.
And I'm sorry.
This is daytime. All right. Okay, guys. Like we can't tiptoe. We can't tiptoe around this. We
We
can't
don't
tiptoe.
tiptoe.
No. But I am just a little bit. I'm gonna tap dance. Tap dance. Okay. You use more than your toe. It's a bunch of things. So Nina is hilarious. She's in the kitchen with Sasha, and I love
So
this. I
funny.
absolutely love this. Like she's so excited about the fact that like Drew's becoming popular. More so. And she's like, I am sleeping with that just so everybody knows. Actually, no one knows, but I want them to. So I'm accidentally going to tell you that I am and then go, did Maxie tell you? I was like, what is this conversation? She's talking with Sasha. She's like, me and Drew. She's talking all weird that you're like, oh my gosh, is something going on? Oh, wait, who told you? It's like you
You right
being
now.
weird is giving off all the vibes, all the clues. So to me, I'm like, this is hilarious. Nina just wants people to know. And now it starts. It starts.
Okay, wait. Before we move forward, my favorite line comes from the scene. His
Okay.
body is amazing. Yeah, you should see his abs. You can grate cheese on them.
Oh, okay, yes. That was a good line. And the show did start with a lot of Drew is hot, right?
Yes.
So there was a few main messages that they've been trying to get across over the past few weeks, and
Yes.
obviously just in that episode. So one, Drew's hot, has abs. We've been saying
Super
it,
abs.
yeah. Enough to like boink the crazy out of someone. So like, I mean, it's working for Nina. The other thing that they've been trying to tell us is after all of the awful life experience Nina has had for herself, the contempt that she says is universal, turns out she's the queen of PR.
Yes.
Ironic, so ironic, but they have been like kind of pushing
that down our throats. So it turns out that's a
Yes.
skill of hers. She says it, other people say it, Nina PR, Nina PR.
Must be
And
true.
this whole potential of her joining the campaign to stay close to Drew. Because at this point, it's like, I'm not quite sure how this is going to work, right? Because Drew is the center of a lot of stuff at Aurora and a lot of business deals between Nina, Curtis, and Willow.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess he has to stay attached to some people, because otherwise I was like, oh, okay, are you gonna just disappear, I guess, or go somewhere? Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
look like it. Doesn't look like it.
Nope, not
So
at all. Not at all.
lots of, stuff going on. And it turns out that Willow just needed a moment to herself. She needed a moment.
Just a moment, guys.
A moment. We all needed a moment. And I love how everyone's theories, they were drinking. No one looked drunk, I'm just saying.
Right?
And fireworks. I had no idea fireworks was
So
this excuse.
disorienting.
Like, oh God.
Yes.
She even said that. Like, the fireworks would
I
be
know.
I'm like, I have seen a ton of fireworks. I've never
I
been
have not made out with somebody who's not my
disoriented,
husband.
dizzy. I've never like the sound, like, I'm not like dogs, right? They get scared and they hide, right? Cody had to make sure that the horses were safe. As a
Yes.
human being, I have never been like, oh my God, fireworks, and then stumbled around a park and just started making out with someone because of how disoriented I was by the sparkly things in the sky.
No,
Like,
I
what
think
does she
it's,
do in the country when there's stars outside?
I don't know, but she has a knack for finding the hottest guy in the room. I mean, good for her.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so she's in there, and the moment Drew walks in, can I wait a minute. Wait,
Yeah,
how am I
yeah.
how am I not
Back up the truck.
bragging?
Back it up.
How am I not bragging?
I know. I'm surprised. I want to be like, oh,
February
hey,
10th,
Mish.
Saturday. Actually, it was February 9th. We were recording the podcast. I decide to share my observations with you and the one other person that listens to this podcast. And so then I kept saying those scenes were weird. What do you mean? I'm
I was
just
in
saying.
denial. Yeah,
I am
I was in
just
such
saying Drew showed up.
denial.
They're having a conversation. It's just a conversation. It's just support. Michelle's just support. Everybody commenting. Just, no, they're just it's a father-daughter thing. I'm like,
It's
yes,
gonna be okay, guys.
it was up until that point. But then she looked at him flirty. I'm like,
Yeah.
nobody looks at their dad or big dad, stepdad,
Blech.
kind of dad that way. And I noticed how she was looking at him. There was like elbow touch. I'm like, that's a vibe. I think they're changing course.
You would bang
What
on.
do you think now? What do you think now?
I think I watched that scene a couple of times. I was like, oh my God.
So that was like in February, but it's still fast for soap time that it
Yes, it
happened within
is.
the same year. Because then after that, they amped it up. And I mean, Willow did a good job because they really did cement a father-daughter relationship. He was supposed to
Yes.
walk her down the aisle. He was the hero. It was her, like, they were literally like a faux family. She leaned on Carly as a mom. And that's the thing too. They really are repositioning people, moving them away. Like, there is no Carly Willow connection. Like, if anything,
Yeah,
like
sadly.
the Carly, Jason characters a little muted.
Yes.
And sometimes I have to say, I'm like, what'd you bring Jason back for then? To be honest, when
Honestly.
is this going to start and get going? So just to say that they move things around, right? So because
Mhm.
of Drew with Carly, he was like the dad, the mom, like this whole thing happening. But then they really abruptly changed course with just the time they spent. And honestly, it was a lot of Willow. It was a lot of Willow's vibes, her stares, their
Yes.
little interactions and touches that really made it like clear that this was happening. But once he started sleeping with Nina, we're
Yes.
just like, okay, all right. They're showing him more with Nina. And we felt that it could have been real,
Yes, absolutely.
right? We felt like, I've been thinking about this. Because, like with Carly and Jason, we talk about how that relationship transformed them both. It both helped them grow. They knew each other a
Yeah.
long time. And so I was saying, like, well, the short time Nina's been with Drew, she has started to change. And we kept saying, we were like debating him and Jordan.
Yes.
Mind you, there was a post I did where I put Drew next to Jordan, Nina, and Willow. And people were confused as to why Willow was included.
Yes.
I
Like,
still think
hello.
I still think that like Jordan will be checked at one point. I still think
I do
enter
too.
Jordan at some point in this like whole like story. I'm excited to see where this goes. But you know I love the salacious drama and the
Of
cheating, and it's like
course.
she's a quartermain. This has to happen.
It's a rite
Ned
of
is past
passage.
this. It's past this. Well, as of recently, like, you know what I mean? And like Chase and Brooklyn are the stable couple, and there's room to play here. So when it comes to Nina, we were thinking this could be really real, but then I thought about something. If I
Oh
compare,
boy.
if I make this comparison,
Okay.
and
Okay.
especially after what they showed, this past week, I'm like, huh, okay. Like we see how they are, but we see Nina, but we've only seen Nina's side of this affair, right? We
True.
never,
Very true.
ever, ever see Drew confiding in anybody or anything. All we see is here and there he's being sympathetic, but like in terms to Nina, like to try to get her closer to Willow. But all this relationship has really done that's influenced by Nina is make Drew kind of spend more time with Willow in order to kind of support Nina, but it ends up putting
Yes.
him more close with Willow. If you take a closer look, then
Yes.
you have like Nina talking a lot about him, but he really doesn't. And then sometimes they have sex. And then you're thinking, I'm like, oh, wait a second, though. And the whole Jason Carly thing, it
Hmm.
was a mutual relationship and they both kind of taught each other things and grew. And I'm just thinking,
Yes.
what can Nina teach Drew, right? Because it's like in the Carly, it's like they made each other better. But in this
Yes.
situation, it's one directional. Drew is making Nina better. She's
Oh
not
yeah.
really making him better. If anything, I was like, well, if this is going to be mutual, I guess she could, I don't know, show him how to be selfish or just, I have no idea what she could bring to the table. So far, it's really literally just been a quid pro quo doing favors for one another, but like
Hmm.
it's not as to like it's not really swinging both ways here.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to think, I'm like, huh, is it actually really just like hate sex for Drew? Because that's how it started. That's what Nina
Yes.
was saying.
Yes.
Clearly, she very like her feelings and her view of this has evolved. She gushes about him. He doesn't.
Yes.
He doesn't gush about Nina.
Well, my gosh, even the moments afterwards when she's so happy to see him, when they do have a moment alone, he is stiff as a mannequin. And she's just like, this is love. And she's like kissing him.
I know. And he, like, someone pointed out, damn it, this was today, chatting with someone. So, a few things that people have pointed out
Mhm.
that Drew never initiated any kiss that happened in that room. Mind you, he'd kiss anybody that walked in. Like,
That is
at
very
least
accurate.
we know he'll accept a kiss from just about anyone, but he didn't participate in the Nina kiss the way in which he participated in the Willow exchange. And so when he walks into that room, Willow was laying that on. My
Yeah.
gosh. She was all over that. Like when I rewatch it, it's like they kiss and she puts her arm behind his neck, her hand.
Oh, yes, she
Like
does.
she really did that. Like that moment was very much initiated by her constant longing eyes
Well,
and
even
her
when they
body.
were, well, exactly, right? Like when they were on the couch, they were so, I know it's a small couch and Drew is a tall guy, but the proximity starts there. And it just felt like they were inching and inching closer to each other. And then they stand up. Like they did such a good job with like physical space in that scene, with like anticipation, where you were like, I was still on the side of like, okay, is it going to happen today? Like they're pushing it forward. Mish is totally right. It's in my notes. But is it going to happen today? And when the fireworks happen, the magical fireworks, that kiss was like, should I be looking directly at it?
I know that was not just a like, oh, oops, a little
A
kiss. That
moment.
was
Yeah.
like,
I
that
want you
was
now, but I can't.
intense. It was
Yes.
intense and fiery. And how do you call that? Like, oops, accidental. I don't even know how they even stopped. And when you stop
Right?
and you go, what did we just do? How is that? That's not an accident. Like nothing about
Right?
that is accidental. Like it was so much behind it. And not only that, I felt so bad for Sasha. Like, you work at the court,
Right?
you're definitely going to stumble onto things. But seriously, so like, that's the thing. You and I were like, we saw it. They made it way more obvious every time they had scenes together that there was something there. But their connection, began. He was confiding in her about his breakup. I'm still thinking back to like Carly's kitchen, where Carly was like, "Oh, he told you," where they have this relationship. They have way too many secrets, though. They have way too many secrets because she decided to confide in him about Jason,
Yes.
and now they have this. So it's like this, they've had a relationship that's kind of started. And so like we saw it, but the reason why, like when I was watching, like, I mean, I knew it was going to happen. I saw the comments and all that stuff and the previews of what Sasha was going to see, plus your text of, did you watch it yet? I'm like, no, but I know why he'd be
Shut
texting
your
me
face.
this.
You don't know me. It's not my fault. You can read my mind when I just say
But you
innocent
would
text. Not
never
even
have,
any emojis. Not
you
even
would
any
never,
emojis.
no, like you would have never messaged me unless something dramatic happened, because some days you're like, whatever, like I'll watch them all together. So no, like no. Um,
I was
so I
dying
already
inside.
knew.
I was exploding. I'm like, who do I talk to now?
And so when I was watching it, like somebody was saying, like they were screaming no. I'm like, I was, because I just couldn't believe how blatant
Sam.
Willow was being, but I also could not stop laughing. I was like, this is hilarious, because think about how mind boggling and mind blowing this is to like everybody else, like the characters. Like
Yes.
watching Sasha be like, what? Like how on earth, like Willow's a safe person. Willow and Michael are like a safe couple. There was so many
Yes.
things that make this so juicy. Like think about this. Willow kicked Michael out of the house because
Yes.
he lied about Nina, lying about Drew and Carly. That's the thing. She's like, oh my gosh, you're not honest. And this comes off the heels of her not telling him about her cancer diagnosis. And then
Yes.
she went ahead and made all kinds of life altering choices that impacted her family. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
different. There's sensitivity, like, oh, you're sick and all that stuff. And you want to be sensitive because she's the one going through it and it is her life, her journey. But at the same time, it was like, Michael felt betrayed. You didn't tell him. You didn't even include him in this decision. You didn't allow him to be there for you. Like you really went
Mhm.
solo on that. That totally went under the rug.
Oh
And
yeah.
then you decided to be mad about the Nina thing. And what's even better about this? Like what's even better and so messed up, and I can't imagine how it doesn't torture Willow in the night, is that you all died. This man saves your life. Now you have a second chance to do what you keep talking about, which is enjoy your family. And here you are with this second chance, alive. And then this happens. It's so gray. It's so not clear. It totally, challenges this idea of maybe how she sees herself, and certainly how everyone else sees her,
Mhm.
right? Perfect little Willow angel. Like all I kept thinking was Finn's quote. So when he was like drinking and Chase tried to talk to him, Finn just kind of lashes out and says, "Oh, this is you, what, getting down in the dirt with the rest of us?" And that's just that was the
Ooh.
that went through my head when I saw Willow do that, because it's like it's hilarious. These two goody two shoes are crossing all kinds of lines, particularly like Drew. Like at first I was like, this is great because like, Willow kind of knows what Drew's doing, because we thought that was going to be the drama. Like, oh, she's going to find out that Drew is like using her, but not really. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Willow kind of knows what Drew's doing. And even Nina said it explicitly, because of Drew, we're closer.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so you already brought up the fact that like Nina shows up and like thinks that this is a moment to celebrate, right? Because Curtis, who's just taken charge of the Aurora and the Quartermains,
Everything.
telling Michael, telling Michael and Nina like, "Oh, is it always gonna be awkward? Is it always gonna be awkward that she hooked up with your dad when you thought he was dead? Is that always gonna be a thing? And then tried to send your mom to jail and my bestie? Like, oh, is this always just gonna make the workplace just uncomfortable? So I'm happy that like Curtis managed to sort all of that out.
Yeah, in like 5 minutes. It was awesome.
Yeah, like Michael's like, I see your point, Curtis. Um,
We don't have many scenes together, so I'm gonna make this scene count. We're just gonna.
you're right. I think letting go is the way to go, and maybe you should tell Portia that. But anyway, so the thing that kind of got me, so a few question marks now about this whole like Willow Drew thing. So the next morning, because
No,
remember,
no, no. We can't go to the next morning yet. You're going
why?
too fast. Hold on a second. Hold on a
What
second.
what else do you want to say? Oh, they kissed other people? Okay, so he kissed her mom. He's been kissing her mom.
No, it is what happened after the kiss. You're jumping from before the kiss
Mm-hmm.
to the kiss and then beyond that. They had a
What?
moment of talking about it when Drew said, in a different world, this would be completely different. They addressed
But
uncle nephew. They addressed in a different
but
time and
that's what I was
space.
but that's what I wanted to jump to. I just thought it happened in the morning.
Oh no, it happened after the kiss.
That's literally the line I wanted to talk about. I'm like, did you know that Drew said this? That's why you can't say like, oh my gosh, like
Oh
where did that
goodness.
come from? Out of nowhere. Yeah, we could have been something real special, you know that? Like it's just
What?
he thought about it. He
Yeah,
obviously
he did.
thought about it a lot.
Ward.
Yeah, this is funny because I wrote because you said like in another place or whatever, but my notes are all messed up. So I wrote telling Willow in another place and town they could have had something. And I'm like, technically that's true. It's called Dixon Falls. If you take her there, you could have
You
something.
could start over.
Yeah, it'll be great there, but really awkward if you bring it back to town.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so that was kind of huge because they were finally kind of touching on the fact that they have this real connection, clearly attraction. And,
Mm-hmm.
she's like, "You're my husband's uncle and
He's
his
my
mom's
nephew.
ex-boyfriend. You used to be a father figure to me." Like it's gross and it's really
So
awkward,
much.
but it's
It's so
also,
much.
but I love it so hard. I love it so much.
I know. It is
It's just
so
so
good.
good. It's so good. I like the Sasha aspect of it all. Like I kind of love the fact that she got to like gossip about it today with Cody and really like go through the details. But this is what I'm thinking though. With
Mm-hmm.
that part being said, that Drew said this, and then we come to find out today that Drew and Willow are working late together.
Mm-hmm.
I I just don't know that it could be a one-time thing, particularly because they kept saying maybe it could
I
have been a
know.
one-time thing. It is a one-time thing. I just don't think it is because of Sasha's conversation. But another thing struck me, like we're talking about like characters and where they are and distancing some from some stories. So I have to say though, remember when Molly had like accidentally cheated on TJ? And then every time TJ and Brando would talk, it would be hilarious. It would be
Oh
like
yes,
really comedic.
absolutely. Yes.
So I found that was happening with
Mm-hmm.
with like with everything related to the morning after. But it got like awkward sad though because Michael's like, notice anything off about Willow? And in any other story you would think like, oh, is she acting strange, is she out of sorts? But no, it was twist the knife worse
Oh
when
yeah.
Michael's like, yeah, I was just worried she was dying again. Thanks. I'm glad nothing seems off. Like that's what he was saying. And I'm like, that's
Yes.
horrible. That is
So
horrible.
bad.
And like how she's cringing and all that stuff. But something that I thought was interesting in the way that Sasha talked about it to Cody.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously Cody knows about them dating because Michael awkwardly brought it up
Yeah.
to Cody and is like, "What are your intentions?" Like, okay. And then the way that Sasha chose to tell the story, like there was a few players, and I do think it was poignant for Sasha to be the one to catch them because not many people know about Nina and Drew. And so she
Yes.
knows everything and she knows all the players. And at the same time, she's sympathetic to the characters. Like she's sympathetic to Nina. She knows Nina.
She is, and she can also navigate. Like, yes, Cody talked her through it, but she is a person who understands this, like, nuances in a relationship. Not that what's going on is okay. It's a soap opera. It's salacious. It kind of reminded me of like a Downton Abbey moment, like the upstairs downstairs situation where they know
Mm.
way more than the whole entire household. But she understands like that gray space and exactly that. She can maneuver through situations in such a different way than any other character.
But the thing is, though, I think Sasha can see the gray and she's open to understanding. But the way in which she talks about Michael and not so much about Willow,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's clear how she feels.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
I think she's pretty angry. So this is the thing. You have the Nina, you have the Drew, you have the Willow, the Michael, but she chose to root the story around Michael.
Yes.
I found that strange.
Oh, what do you worry? I know. I think I know what you're thinking, but I don't want that to happen.
I think that they're lining up Michael as a backup because at this point, I actually don't know
Yeah.
what's happening with the characters in the show. Like you have Finn leaving,
Yes.
and then today we have the news from Elizabeth that Jake is going to school somewhere.
Yeah. Mm.
And I'm just like, what? You have Jason come back and there's not much story happening around there. Every now and again, John Cates is like, I'm still in Port Charles. I
I
don't
know.
even
I was like,
know.
I thought
Do
you
you know? He's like,
left.
I don't know. Like, no one knows what's happening. We have Lucky coming back. We have Morgan just coming back for a day. Like, I just think that it would be disappointing. People are really loving the Mac and Cody stuff, but part of me kind of wonders
Yes.
if like Michael is meant to just be like just setting that up as a just in case. Like it honestly made me wonder about Cody's future on the show, just the way she told the story. And I'm
Yeah.
worried that he doesn't pull this thing. Like the chemistry was rough with him and Britt. Like she was in an
Yeah.
interview and she was talking about like, her and Jason, there was chemistry when they had put them together.
Hmm.
And even she said it was rough with the Cody because it was like a brother sister vibe almost.
Yes.
I feel like it could have been there, but it kind of wasn't. Like I don't even know if
Hmm.
maybe they decided halfway through. It was just odd. It could have worked if maybe it was done a different way. And it works with him and Sasha. They're cute together. But then
Yes.
sometimes he does that jokey Cody thing like he did with her. And
Yes.
it kind of breaks the build up or the romance between them.
That's very true.
So it's like I don't know. But speaking of Cody, there's just so much going on. So many secrets. Like Sasha is like this outside observer to everything going on with Michael, Willow, and Nina. I think she will
Yes.
stay quiet for now, which makes sense. Like, cause forget the whole like, oh no, like, is it a one-time thing or not? Cody brought up a good point. We work here,
Yeah.
like that's the thing. Like, yes, you know all these people. Yes, you're friends with them. You dated them. You worked for them. Other outside of the Quartermain house, but ultimately he has more experience with this than she does, and he's basically saying we're the help. Like at the end of the day, like they're
Yeah.
buying our service and our silence.
Yeah. Pretty much.
So it sucks because it obviously will change the dynamic there.
It will. But I did like his blackmail joke though.
The black, yeah. It like seriously would be the perfect opportunity. Okay, so many cute things in this stable. All right, so James proposed and asked him to be his big brother.
Yeah.
And I loved like Sam and like Dante being there to witness the whole thing and how cute it was and how they were talking about how it's so much cooler to have a brother with like a different last name.
Yes.
And I'm like, wait till like James finds out things like brother cousins, or you know what I mean, all the different ways you can be somebody's sibling on the show. But then magical. The fireworks weren't just magical for Drew and Willow. They were magical for Cody and Mac. I worked so hard all week trying to figure out how I can use Mac Daddy in a post.
It's like my favorite thing, Mac Daddy. Like I just...
It is. And every time I'm like writing these things, I'm like, can I? And then I was so happy when I found a way to use it.
I loved it. Loved it.
So when they were on the porch, I was like, oh, this is fitting, right? Because the porch is where Mac had went to go confront Cody for the first time. And be like,
Oh,
who
okay.
are you? You mine? Or something of the sort, like trying to ask who his mom was and all that stuff. And
Yes.
then he tells them, and I'm like, oh no, is this going to be one of those scenarios where he's like, what? And then Cody's like, nothing.
Nothing.
Did you want a Capri Sun? But But he heard and he was mad.
Okay, I know how
Like,
you feel about our GH characters when the guys get mad. How did you feel about Mac getting mad?
I feel two ways about it. It's always hot. Like but at the same time I feel so bad for Cody because
Right?
we know, right? The fact that he even told
Hmm.
Felicia, I asked myself an important question. Am I good enough? Like, who would
Yeah.
want a son like me? And I'm like, that's the question you asked? And it was just so
Aw.
heartbreaking and sad, like poor guy. And the fact that Mac, he has a big heart, and I get that he's mad, but it's sort of like, explain it to me harder, like I get that he's not ashamed of you. Like the fact that like they had really good arguments, like they're pointing out to him, he chose of his own volition to tell you.
Yes.
Like it's odd to me that he's seeing him in such a one-dimensional way, and it's clear that Mac is like stuck on being rejected. Clearly, he's also not feeling good enough.
Well, this is the thing. Like, this is what I find really interesting about those scenes is like Maxie's laying out, all this groundwork of all her adventures over the years. They're like, you still love me? I wish she had literally listed more like what she did with Cody. But I think Felicia hit the nail on the head. Like, they're very similar, and Mac has never had his own son, so it hurts extra. And he also and there's so much talk about how similar Mac and Cody are in terms of being stubborn, how they grew up, their sense of adventure, their sense of loyalty. So they are the same person. So their reactions right now, his reaction, I feel, is really valid because it's amped up over the top, but he'll eventually come down. It's showing again a level of their similarity.
I do think it hurts more, but I also think he's scared because he
Oh yeah.
successfully raised kids that weren't his. And could you imagine his own son, not really liking him, or his inability to create a bond with him the way he did with the
Yes.
girls, right? It's not even a
Totally.
daughter. I don't even know if that is a big deal for him, but maybe, right? It could not be such a like
Mm-hmm.
more of a foreign situation for him. So yeah, like I just loved, like, okay, we've talked about this, and this is just how I feel about Maxie. I just think that like the way that Laura Wright has that spot in the show,
Mm-hmm.
I feel, and I said this a long time ago, there was like a
Yeah.
scene a long time ago with Carly and Maxie. They were on a sofa at the hospital, and just the way that the scene looked, it looked very passing of the baton. And I could just see in years from now, Maxie holding that spot because she has a connection with everyone. She has the connection with the legacy characters, the ones who've been on for a long
Mm-hmm.
time. She has a strong history, and she's basically involved with everyone on the show in the kind of way that Carly has been. And I could see her taking that lead spot. I just can. She can handle it. She could do it. And I feel like she's doing it even now. And I love so many things about it. I loved when Sasha went over. I loved how Maxie challenged Sasha on like who's more dangerous.
Yes. So cute.
I love them making fun of themselves by saying you could be like my mom's daughter. Like you could be Felicia's daughter. You're so sweet. Who knows? Maybe you are. And then
Yeah.
Felicia's like, because there was a time when they were kind of alluding to someone having a child, and we were
Yes.
like, is Esme Felicia's? Like who? Like did she have another kid? So I mean, I just love that they poked fun at so much there, and it was really cute because after they had the whole stunt where Cody showed up, and
Mm-hmm.
then something Mac was like getting upset at them, like, what are you behind, like this whole thing that you're doing? And then like Maxie went to go hide behind Felicia.
I didn't notice
I
that.
thought that was so cute. It happened to every round because I'm like, did she really just do that? She took like a huge step and hid behind her mom. But I think they're doing a good job. And I think I like the pace of the story. It's nice to have one that's a bit more like wholesome and sweet, where
Yes.
you feel like you're going to get the ending that you want, and it feels like it's moving at a nice pace. There was like a pause, so it's kind of Mac returned, we're able to kind of pick back up, and they really really are picking back up on the storyline. And I just love the role that Maxie, Felicia, and Sasha are playing in moving this along. I definitely think that James will come in and be the clincher.
Mm-hmm.
But I do look forward to their journey together. And I love the way today, like how Sasha distracted him, right? He was so upset, but he realized that she had something going on. So I also loved how her little like Willow gossip helped to take things like the pressure off of Cody for a little bit.
I do love that. And I love the relationship they're building together. They make a really good team. So, like, I want to see, they talk about how Maxine Spinelli hang out with Cody and Sasha. I'm like, I actually want to see it though.
Yeah, they really do have quite the strong circle. Like that family, like the framework of that family has been in play for a long time, and I love that build up. So I definitely want to see that, and I think we're definitely going to get there. But they are a family, like they are a whole
Yeah.
kind of like storyline unit. Like Sasha came in as a single individual,
Yes.
and I just find I think it's so cool to watch how like how integrated she's become. You know what I mean? Like she was part of the Corinthos family that was devastating everything that happened with Brando, but now it's like she has a whole other clan. So her too, she's becoming a character that is tied and has a lot of relationships to many many people and storylines on the show. And the more you're at
Yes.
the Quartermains, that really expands. But also, so we talked about like Mac being mad about the whole Cody thing, but he also had a lot of strong feelings about the Heather stuff. He brought up Brit.
Yes.
So that was maybe too heavy of a topic. Basically, Laura was like, "Stop it, stop it, stop it." I can't deal with Portia.
We're at a party.
Oh my god, the whole time, I don't know about you, but the entire time I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's not fun at all. Like you're not getting invited to another party at all."
Ever.
And then she decides to like throw shade and bring Elizabeth into it too.
So bad. Your bestie at Orly's friend at
They're
work.
friends, you know. You're her
Yeah.
boss and you're friends, and she obviously doesn't know what is happening. And you didn't even hesitate to kind of like drag her in. I can understand Portia's strong feelings, I
Yes.
guess. But what I do see that they're trying to do is so early on we saw her do this at the Quartermains, and then she had some other scenes with Jordan, which obviously you know I love those. Just
Yes.
love me some Jordan.
She's the
But what I was
best.
noticing, like before the episode aired, was they're really they're setting Portia apart, and I mean from like her whole family. Like
Truly,
ever,
though,
yeah,
nobody
like
agrees
ever.
with her.
No, like well, it's not even just that. Like ever since the whole like paternity stuff came out, you know, Curtis and Trina have been building a bond. They show more of their relationship. You know, at first it was this strong tie between Portia and Trina, but that relationship really suffered after the lie she told and also around like the Spencer relationship. And Curtis has been able to support Trina in a different way. Like even when she was with Spencer, the way he was able to kind of like welcome Spencer and respect
Hmm.
Trina, like how she felt, but even afterwards during the grief, like they found a way. They even depicted scenes of them playing video games and Portia just like off, not knowing what to do. And I just couldn't help notice that you're watching like Curtis deal with other stuff at the Quartermains. Like she's like, I want to stay here. He's like, yeah, okay, bye. And he left.
Hmm.
And then she shows up when everybody's all together in the makeout room to be like, I'm so upset I want to leave. He's like, yeah, I figured this would happen. He's like, you're such a good time. And she's getting mad and he's not having much of a reaction. And then you see
Yes.
Trina, she's having a grand old time in her new apartment at the
Oh
Q's, chilling
yeah.
with Gio and Jaws. Like she's just having the best time. And
Yeah.
it's really just Portia. And apparently some constituents that no one knows about. She's like, I'm unhappy. They're unhappy. I've checked the forums. And I'm like, okay. But again, nothing has happened.
Yes.
Nothing has happened, even though Laura is telling anybody who will listen that a judge must decide.
Yes.
Must.
Must.
Must. We must take a closer look at this case. So, so yeah, so you have like Jordan really riled up about this whole thing, really taking it on honestly as like this solo mission. No one seems as concerned for safety. And another thing, like I thought maybe Curtis and Portia would find their way.
Yes.
And there was a point where they were just showing scenes of them being like, "We're together again." We don't know how it happened, but they decided that they were together again, and they were like, "We're good." But nothing about them seems good. It's more of the same. You know,
Yes,
like
absolutely.
he took this job at Aurora without really consulting her, and even though he told her about it, he was not considering her opinion in this at all. Like he was
No.
just doing his thing. And then with the dinner, that wasn't a romantical moment to celebrate his shooting that they decided to do. It was Trina. Trina decided to mark the occasion.
Yes, she did.
And I think it's weird. Like, you know, like think about that. Like if she felt the need to create a moment for them, how good are they?
Well, you can tell by the fact that all she talked about for the first 20 minutes when Portia arrived home was Heather.
Mhm.
Instead of actually enjoying the moment.
It was weird because at first she got excited and goes, "Oh my god, Trina, I got to call her. She's so cute." And I'm like, "Okay, laying it on a bit thick. What is happening?" And then
Right?
in her rant, Curtis is really stable and just not reactive. It's clear that they're on different pages. It's more than once they've kind of been in this instance, and she's upset that he's not getting as riled up as she is. And then he
Yes.
tells her why. I went to talk to Heather herself. I am convinced of her family's safety. I don't think she's going anywhere. And I was like, okay, wow, that's okay. So she's like, so we're just not telling each other things anymore. And I'm like,
Right?
that's rich. That's rich coming from you. But also, are we not telling each other things anymore, Curtis? Like he's not learned anything. But what's
Oh
even
no.
worse is that he knows that she's been walking around feeling really stressed about this. She's all, Heather is targeting us and our family. And I'm laughing because remember when he got shot and he was like, maybe they're after me. It's like, no one's after you.
No, no
And in
one's
this
after
situation,
me.
not that Portia knows, but like Heather is
Yes.
not after you. Like it's just not what's happening. And
Mm-hmm.
so he's watching her unravel, but he's feeling calm and secure because he went to go visit her and he knows that Heather doesn't want to be set free and she feels she deserves to be exactly where she is. Therefore, he's feeling fine and figured I'm not going to share this with my wife.
I don't want to bother her. She's a doctor.
I
She's
need
busy.
more I need more time to process, like I didn't need time to process going. I didn't tell her about that. I just did
Yeah,
it.
no.
Then
Yeah.
I talked and then I came home and then I moved on with my life. Weeks went by and I just haven't gotten around to it.
I mean, because I also accepted a job. So there's just been like a lot going
A
on in my
lot going on.
life.
Even though all you say is Heather, 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 Heather. I was like, I couldn't remember. I just couldn't remember. And I just couldn't believe what was happening because to highlight even more. So now they're hammering the point that Curtis is not on the same page.
Yeah.
Um, but before I get to Trina, I just want to talk about when she went to go see Jordan for a sec.
Yeah.
Okay, logistics corner. Is it just me or is Jordan and Laura sharing the same office set?
Oh, good observation. I don't know.
Because I'm like, the office looks the
Looks
same
the same, yeah.
every time. And I'm like, Laura has more chairs near the door, but it looks
Yeah.
kind of the same to me. And I'm like, are they just changing it every time? Like Jordan's office, Laura's office, like it's the same. So that got me confused for a minute. But then then Portia comes in with this idea of ousting Laura
Mm-hmm.
for Jordan. And Jordan tried to say some of the things that Laura did, but I can understand why at this point I don't think much of what Laura could say would land with Portia. But
Yes,
I loved
agreed.
it because Jordan is just so logical. She's just
Yes.
so logical. And I watch her face because she never really flinches. Like she says all kinds of things, Portia, and Jordan just has zero reaction for this girl.
I love it so much. And she made her point at the end of the conversation. It is a gray area. It is a weird circumstance, but also there's like a lot of murderers walking around poor Charles just like happily. But then at the end of the day, Portia did what she was supposed to based on her medical degree. Like she has to not
Mhm.
judge people when she's assessing them and what care they get. And Jordan again pushing down her throat that the law is the same. Like you can't just bend and change things the way you want things to go. And boy, did Portia not like that.
No, but because like Laura tried telling her that,
Yes.
and I kind of love that Jordan did that, because you're
Same.
trying to, because like Jordan is a professional just like you are, and you advocated for your patient and you did what was best for her, and that's all she's trying to do. And she's also saying to you, it doesn't mean that I like it. And I'm also
Exactly.
like, and there's just she's dealing with Cyrus out, no?
Exactly. That's exactly
And
what I wrote down.
And then she's all like, and what if someone killed your kid? I'm like, but nobody killed your kid either, Portia. And Jordan's kid was like kidnapped. Like
By
nothing
Cyrus's
actually,
people.
yeah, like nothing actually happened to Trina, thankfully,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the hook killer.
Yeah.
But like Jordan, like something actually happened, and she was like, yeah, and I moved on. But she can't tell Portia that because Portia would just be
Exactly.
outraged. But the fact that she wanted to take these steps, and the fact that she thought that maybe Curtis wasn't on board simply because Laura was his friend. But the clincher was like Laura finally got to go talk to Heather, and Heather finally got to say the words that she told Curtis.
Yes.
So that was really interesting because I'm like, okay, this is odd to me because this is such a big deal. The Heather potentially going free, or the fact that this court case could come up. You know, we saw Portia being reactive very early on. We knew this would be polarizing for a lot of people, like for Diane, for
Mm-hmm.
instance. And so, because it's so juicy and polarizing and dramatic, 100% we expect this to move forward. So, when all of a sudden Laura decides she's going to respect Heather's decision, I'm like, that
Mm.
doesn't sound right.
It
That doesn't
doesn't.
that doesn't sound right. That this would be stopped. But how interesting of how it may move forward. So while you have Portia completely unhinged and fixated on the need for like safety. So you know how she told that story? So you know how she talked about like maybe I'm not being paranoid enough?
Yes.
I'm
Ooh,
not sure what
okay.
they're trying to do with her, right?
Okay.
Like I'm not sure what they're trying to do with her if they're trying to lift her out of that family entirely. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
But I just think that with Portia, she likes being in control. You know, like from what I heard of her speech, it was like, I didn't like it when Taggart had his job. And then I was so happy that, like, you had a job I liked. I'm happy when
Yes.
things are the way I want them to be. And it's just like
Yes.
right now, as much as it was like, Laura was in fact telling people she was questioning things. And, it sounded like she was putting things in motion. What we've come to understand is that nothing actually happened. She hasn't put things in motion, but it's been made public that she has been looking into the case and questioning the case. But as it stands, nothing is happening. Heather is in jail. Everyone is safe. So that, so Curtis is moving about his life. Trina is also moving about her life. She's said her piece to Laura, but nothing has actually happened. So in this moment, Trina is not really unsafe about it. And even the secret she kept about Trina's like father, right? Like I
Yes.
think that for Portia, rather than just accepting a what if or uncertainty or just feeling just the feelings of what's happening, she's going nuts trying to assert control. And I'm starting to see that about Portia. She really likes things to be a certain way.
Oh my gosh, it's wild. Like I can almost see like a worst case scenario where like Heather actually gets out, but Portia is the one kind of like stalking, antagonizing, and Heather just happens to do something in self-defense as Portia goes to attack her or something. Like I could just see some really
Yeah. Oh,
weird
that's
kind of
good.
blurred line
That's
situation.
good. But I really do see like underneath it all, like she really has to control everything, like
Mm-hmm.
with Trina, and she wanted Trina away with that cop she was dating. It's funny how she's scared about cops and security and all that stuff, but she was totally fine with her daughter dating one. And then with Spencer, like how involved she got. She couldn't just accept the fact that her daughter had this boyfriend. She went out of her way to try to interfere. Like it's all she thought about.
Yes. Wild.
And so then you have like Trina, who already, had it out with Laura, kind of, but also giving her the benefit of the doubt. Like she knows Laura, she knows, and she wants to hear. So that was so like such a contrast between Trina and Portia. The fact that Trina was like, "Yeah, I understand. Like I understand your concern for Heather or why you see it that way." It's so jarring considering everything we've been hearing Portia say. We're finally hearing from Trina herself, like the actual target of Heather.
Exactly. And just hear her calm and different perspective on things and having that conversation with the two of them. And especially that Trina really holds a special place in Laura's heart. Like I love that she's made these connections with these older characters,
Yes.
the love that she has for Ace and that she is in that family with Spencer or not. So Laura truly values what she thinks and Trina's comfortable enough sharing all of this with Laura.
But I love those relationships. Like I flash back to times like at Charlie's when she would be chatting with like Trina and Joss, and they were like much younger at that time. And the stories
Hmm.
weren't all that connected. And it's just crazy that you're having like you fast forward and you have Trina that's able to kind of stop by and have these moments with Laura. I think it's really cool. And they definitely were drawing parallels, I think, when they were doing the whole I forget what it was, but when like Victor kidnapped her
Oh,
and
yes,
they were
yes,
on that
yes.
boat or whatever, they were showing those parallels, right? About Trina being young, falling for a Cassadine, and also like Laura's story. So there is some
Yes.
kind of like connection legacy that they're trying to pass on there, like the curse of like, like she had to, like Laura had to carry that curse of the Cassadine. That connection to the Cassadines literally from when she was Trina's age onward. So I definitely think they have a
Yes.
bond there. But the fact is, Trina sat there in her uber gorgeous dress, by the way. I love
Yes.
the detailing on it. And it sounds to me like Trina is down to advocate for Heather. Like this to her feels bigger than her.
Absolutely. She had a really great perspective and good things to say.
So, what exactly is to come of Portia in this scenario? If in her own family she comes to learn, because I think she's going to blame Laura for somehow influencing Trina. Like,
Yes,
how is that going to
absolutely.
work? Because she's really worked up. She doesn't think she's being paranoid enough. And what happens? Because we know that Curtis is really, really supportive of Trina, and he's in a place where he can kind of see all sides, and he's always open to hearing what she has to say. Like, I don't know what's going to happen to Portia because they're not going to necessarily be on her side. It's going to create a divide. Like, now she's going to fight her daughter for her daughter's sake.
Yeah, it's crossing a lot of lines and it just feels like it's going to get really messy.
But I think it's going to lean to where you're saying she's being so extreme on this and nothing has happened yet. So imagine when it does.
Hmm.
And we know Portia, if she's feeling out of control or anxious or nervous, like she's going to find ways to act. And I'm starting to think, seeing as how this story is so polarizing, it's hard. Like they took a character like Heather and made us really sympathetic toward her.
Hmm.
I really, really think it's possible that Portia might do a thing that crosses a line and gets her into legal trouble.
Yes, I feel it too.
Oh no. Do you know who's like going, oh, a little bit right now?
Tell me.
Jason. He was like, yeah, I'm gonna back in town working with Anna. She's gonna help me. And then he just stares at her and he's like, what is happening? Like it's clear when he looks at her, he's like, I've made a
Yep.
mistake. And so when she comes in, already emotional, by the way,
Yep.
and she's like, I'm gonna go back and get the satellite phone. He's like, assuming it's where you left it. And she's like, well, of course it'll be because like he's not on to me or anything like that. And Jason's just staring at her like she's a wackadoo. He's like,
I
Anna,
know.
banana, what? He's like, well, what happened the last time you were there? And he's like, I'm not judging you. She's like, it just happened, okay? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like Anna,
Wow.
you're going there for one thing, and for some bizarre reason, you keep calling it a satellite phone. Like nobody's buying it. And
Nope, not one single person.
she's so concerned about like Valentin detecting Jason. Like the fact that she doesn't think that he's smart enough to know what she's doing is ridiculous.
Right?
I just feel bad for Jason. Like, oh, wait a second. He was packing his gun before when Elizabeth came in.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, he's not
yeah.
gonna. Yeah, okay.
He's not gonna take this lying down like she is.
No, no, no. You said it. You said it. Okay, okay, because I was wondering when he was grabbing his gun, I'm like, but he's not on the mob anymore. Like, it didn't even occur to me that he was like, yeah, I am not listening to you. I am going to go and get this phone while you do what you do because I know what you're doing. You go look for the satellite phone, air quotes, and I'll take the satellite phone and actually take it to Kate's, who's, by the way, in what's her face, Ava's hotel room.
So he's in love with all of Sonny's ex people, or like, what's the deal here?
All the ladies, apparently, all the
All the
ladies. Like I
ladies.
don't know what's happening. Okay, so Sonny is like, I'm gonna record this. I'm gonna use your little trick. and record me saying
I
things
could
like, I'm gonna bury you, I'm gonna take you down, I'm gonna record myself threatening you, and then
not.
not leaving when you ask me to leave. I was like, what's this plan? What exactly? And then it was weird, but they kind of clarified because at one point, like Ava's like looking out the window, no, the door when Scott comes in. She's like, yeah, Kate's like, I'm being followed. And then she goes to the pharmacist. So you know you're being followed, and you go to the
Mhm.
pharmacist, and he already logged her as going to that, like I think pharmacist or the hospital or
Yes.
whatever. And so she takes the risk anyway, only to have confirmed later that he pulled the tail because she wasn't
Yes.
producing anything.
He pulled the tail on the donkey. Yes, he did.
So he happens to walk by, and Sonny holds up his phone and is like, I'm not recording, but look at this recording I'm deleting. Like,
I
what
could
is this
not.
scene? What is this scene? Like this idea
Uh,
that these two are gonna go in a courtroom and
right?
be like, I'm a better parent than you. I'm just like, I just can't. Like, I honestly can't. And
Shenanigans.
we know her plan, right? She's gonna try to have him have a breakdown, at which
Breakdown.
point I'm sure
Mhm.
this is where he's gonna hallucinate Morgan for this like one episode. But it's the fact that after all this time, he goes to Carly's and is like, so you're gonna testify that I'm a good dad, right? Because
Testify.
remember when I was at that wedding and I like disowned Michael and I was like, you suck. And then early this week I was telling Dante, like, I don't like you, man. I'm trying to push him away. And then also at the wedding, in between, like, I guess disowning Michael, I scared Christina. Do you remember that? Do you remember that, Carly? Also, you know how you won't let me see Donna, and I'm acting like the reason why is Ava? Like Ava's gone. Can Donna come? Does she answer him? Nope. She just says
Yeah.
Avery could come here anytime. So she decided that Donna, she has full
Hmm.
custody, by the way, and won't let you see her. And he's like, you're gonna testify that I'm a better parent. She's like, a hundo Pete. I'm with you. And
She's smart. She knows how to navigate this
I'm
weird
just like,
situation.
what is going? Because at first she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I don't have to touch this. He's like, but I do want you to because it's a custody hearing and I need you to testify for me. And she's like, well, obviously I'm loyal to you, Sonny, to you, not Ava. But I'm like, at the end of the day, Ava might be this villain. Sure, she does bad things. She murders. She's a drug tamperer. She's also a suggester. She suggests things like
Yeah.
turn Drew in, and then and then chaos.
the, the power of suggestion with Eva.
But how can you really argue that she's a bad mom to Avery? Like, what has she done to Avery? Like, she does all these horrible things, but so does Sunny.
Exactly.
And Diane has pointed out, like Avery's old enough to say things. And when at what point? Because Sunny's like, because well, one, Ava's like, Sunny's poisoning her against me. And I'm like, what evidence is there of this? And then
Right?
they're saying the same about each other. And I'm like, what? And Sunny doesn't even think about what this would do to Avery. Like, does Avery even want this? Like, it's so bizarre. And then after Carly, he campaigns to Alexis, the woman who made sure he wasn't in Christina's life growing up, right?
Yes.
Will you testify I'm a good dad? She's like, I
Well,
I can testify to your love. I cannot testify to your business. And I'm like, but you never offered, like, you never said you testify in terms of his like parenting. Like
so is the
no
best
one is
scene.
saying this. Like no one is saying things or words clearly. And it's a bizarre request after the way he's treated everyone.
Oh yeah, big time.
Oh my gosh. Like even though like she has this plan of like a public meltdown,
Hmm.
I really do hope we get a couple of scenes in the courtroom where they just like throw some dirt at each other because I'm like, this makes no sense. And then to top it off, like everyone's like, oh, remember Katie's here for a reason. Let's try to remember what that is together. So he walks into the hotel room and I can't tell, like, because Ava used the word chivalrous and his mouth twitched.
Okay, so what do you think that means?
I can't tell if he's salivating at the chance to get at Sunny or if he's really just excited to play hero to a damsel that causes distress.
Both.
So
I
so
love
there
that.
so there you have it, right? Kate showed up in connection to Jason's return. And so far, Jason's been in a coffee house. He showed up in Carly's kitchen.
We know he
What's
goes to
happening?
we know he goes to baseball games off the, we don't see it, but he's taking kids to baseball games. He's being dad of the year. He's doing things. He's out there living.
Because honestly, like if it's true, right, that he returned and he plans on staying for a good 2 to 3 years, shouldn't we get this story started?
Right?
What's
Let's
the
get it
story?
started. We don't know.
Seriously, there's like no story right now. First, it was like, why was he gone? He was gone to protect Carly. Now we know, and we're doing zero with it. Like, I don't want it to be a thing where it's like he can't have a story unless he's in the mob with Sonny. You know what I mean?
I
Like, he's
know. It's
here,
terrible.
Sonny is doing his own thing. Why don't you just leave that separate? And then Carly's like, why don't you tell him? He's right. Like, there's no loyalty.
Yes.
And telling Sonny doesn't really guarantee that loyalty and that trust.
Exactly.
So I don't know where they're going, but I just have to say, like, that story is kind of like disappointing. Like, it's nice to have him, but he's like barely on the show.
I know. It's sad. It's
Yeah.
real sad.
So like we just wanted to leave everybody on that really down note.
No, I'm gonna leave you on a different note. Okay.
What?
Some of my favorites. I love that Chase is doing a reduced work week to prioritize his family. Like, they're so stinking cute.
I
He's like,
love
I'm gonna
like
live in
those.
this big house and I'm just gonna like work less and like be around my
Yeah,
family.
I
Love
love it.
it.
You know what? I think it's slowly going to get him into this idea of like a wealthy wife and being part of a wealthy
Yes.
family. I kind of like that.
Yes.
I also like this. Like, this is nuts. Like, they're bringing like social media and like all that stuff, like, and the media really bring it into the show. Like, I am looking forward to this Blaze Christina, because Christina's like, I really don't want to say anything dumb, guys. And I'm like, I'm really looking forward to what comes out of your mouth at
Right.
this interview. But it's gotta be, because I was watching it with Johnny. I'm like, that's gotta suck, right? Because this whole time, Blaze wanted to have this career, and nobody in their job wants to be seen in connection to like a partner, personal life. I'm like,
Yeah.
could you imagine? Could you imagine? I'm like, ew. If somebody was like, I would like to speak to your husband. I'm like, no. Like, I once was somewhere and the person was like, if you need to like consult with your husband, which is maybe a reasonable thing to say, but I was like, ew, gross. I'll get back to you. Like, no. So I
No,
just
I
feel
agree.
bad for Blaze that she's in this position, has to
Mhm.
do this interview, and now it's like she can't just be this like star. She can't be this professional. So now she's going to be in
Yeah.
an interview with Christina. I really hope they show this interview.
Me too. I hope it's like an Entertainment Tonight, because didn't they do some cameos at some point?
I really
It would be
hope
really
it's like that.
interesting.
That would be really cool. But it was interesting what Christina said, though. She said to her dad, because that's the thing too. I find that they do acknowledge, for instance, like who has money and who's like more well
Yeah,
known. So Christina says, how do you feel about me, Christina Corinthos Davis, like being in the media? Like, she's kind of worried. Like, she doesn't even know what kind of attention it could bring her dad.
exactly. It's very thoughtful.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, whatevs. I don't have any advice. You kill it. Bye.
Yeah, like he doesn't like. I don't think he knows. She had a reality show once, and that's not coming back up. I wonder that should come back up on the interview.
Ooh, that'd be so funny.
Yeah.
One of my other favorite moments was with Elizabeth and Jason. Like, I like their moments together and just talking about Jake and that she is really happy that they're building this relationship. Like, I do like hearing about him as a father and how he's making up for the time that's been lost.
So, okay, a couple things there. So excited about Jake pursuing this,
Hmm.
like art, but also recognizing it means that he's not going to be on the show.
I know, breaks my heart.
So I was just like, my gosh, like what on earth is going on? Um, but then there's this part too. Like when we think about like the future, I'm like, are you actually setting up a future in which there's going to be this adult Jake character, okay,
Yes.
who is an artist and speaks Spanish?
Hot damn. Oh my god. Yeah. Okay.
I was
Hmm.
like,
I love
wow.
it.
And it's like, I don't even know what Cameron is studying, but it's just like this idea of like the Weber boys grown
Yes.
up and Elizabeth. Like, I'm just kind of curious because she's saying she's only here with Aiden. Soon he's going to go off to college. it's like I kind of wonder like what's going to happen, like what's going to happen for Elizabeth, like what is sort of the plan here.
I don't know, but she needs to like win the lottery. Like she needs some sort of like financial gain that's all on her own.
Right? Oh, and then when he's like, "Can I please pay for his tuition?" I was like, "I think you should." Like, isn't this partially why this? I know that's not why Elizabeth came, but I'm like,
No,
you
yeah.
really should though. Like, she's doing this all. It would be helpful. But I'm just thinking one of them has to be a lawyer in terms of carrying on Scott's legacy. Maybe Aiden, because I have no idea what
Aw,
Cameron's studying. But I'm thinking, oh no, but Aiden likes to bake.
baking.
He likes to bake. So Cam, I don't know, somebody. He could
But
be a
maybe,
baking lawyer.
well, honestly, it's like a Hallmark movie. He goes into the law field and then it gets really overwhelming. So he takes a break to open up a bakery in Port Charles back home in his small town, you know?
Or he just bakes and he's a lawyer and it's like his thing. Okay, I feel like we're saying the same that.
Yeah, well,
that,
okay,
that
let's just
wasn't
wrap
it.
it up.
That wasn't a new idea. I was just saying.
That was just
Anyways,
words together. So one thing that was
tiring. It's
really
late.
funny was when the whole thing with Drew and he comes back after the whole like TV announcement, and then I think it was like Olivia and Sasha talking about like sexy politicians, and they mentioned like a sexy
Oh
Canadian politician. I
yeah.
was like, what is
Yeah.
happening?
That was so interesting.
And they're like, Canadians might move here now because we have a sexy politician. I was
I
like,
know.
what?
I said I would be. I took that as a personal invitation to move
Me
into the
too.
Quartermain house. I'm
Me
like,
too. I
I'm
was like,
there.
oh my gosh, they're like just talking to us guys, like
But you're
me
already
and
there as
you.
the nanny. You're already there as the nanny.
True, true, fair. Oh my gosh. Okay, do you have any favorite lines?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, let's give out some stars then, because I gave away my favorite line already. It was the grated cheese on the abs.
Oh,
So
right. Okay. Ooh, stars. Oh man.
star
Sasha.
okay, the salacious kiss, the
Oh
fireworks for
man.
mesmerizing Port Charles.
Cause you to do crazy things. Caution. Fireworks may cause you to kiss.
May cause sexiness.
Oh man. A star to like Anna Banana just bananaing because
All
like
over
just
town.
your scenes with Jason, I'm like, that's completely wackadoo, but it's going down anyway. So I just love that. She's just going full force. I'm gonna give a star to
Is she ever?
I wanna give did I give a star to Trina yet or just in my head?
In your head, so out loud to Trina.
Trina.
Got it. Love it. Heather, like
Cody
she's
Mac.
just Cody.
Jinx.
The whole like shenanigans, like the whole like Maxie, Felicia,
Oh
Cody,
yes.
Max, Sasha, that whole like
All of
cuteness, like
them.
lots of stars to them.
They brought it
Um,
this week. They made it so fun.
they really did. And I started Tracy for her just being Tracy, being awesome. She had her soft moment of being like proud of Drew and his name, and then also, like just telling Nina like it is.
And there was someone. Let me scroll. I can't
Pull
recall.
out your scroll so I get the trumpets.
No, I can't recall. It was someone else who was maybe at the Quartermain.
I'm so
Oh,
tired.
Elizabeth. I
Okay,
wanted to give a star to
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Yes, of course. We love
Yes.
her. Oh my gosh. Okay, we covered all of the things. We talked about all of the stuff. We are back. We are tired. We are happy. Have a fantastic weekend. That's a wrap.
Bye.
Bye.